comparing two third-party batteries for replacement batteries for the Canon LPE12, which fit in my case in my Canon EOS M50. So first of all, I bought this one, and this is a charger which came with two additional batteries. So I bought it with two additional batteries. This one is already extended, so it does not fully fit in any longer into the camera. And also two other ones also extended, so maybe not the best brand. I actually can't remember the name of the brand, but it says just digital camera battery charger, and also on the batteries it does not tell me the brand actually. No. So the next one would be the one I currently have bought. So first of all, in terms of price, this one with two batteries cost 27 euros, and I bought it two times because I wanted one charger like this in the studio, and now I have one in my camera bag. Now this charger is also quite convenient because it allows me to have a constant connection, a cable connection to my battery bank, which I use then to charge the batteries. Instead of having to plug in, so if you have to plug in, you can also use micro USB as well as USB-C, also quite convenient I would say. And the problem with having a connection like this is usually that you then have connection issues after the cable might already be 1 or 2 years old, and so then having your batteries in your camera bag and having them properly charged is quite an issue. Also because these charge vertical, this is quite an advantage because, well, you just click them in and they stay in, whereas if you charge them horizontally, where there are also chargers available which are smaller in size, but then they have the problem that if you have them in your bag and the bag is in the rucksack, then this might potentially be a problem. So the original battery I also still have, which looks like this, and so on the rear it also says 800, no, on the front it actually already says 875 milliamp hours, whereas the other two ones say they have significantly more capacity. Now the first one I am taking a look at is now the older one that came with the charger. So this says 1800 milliamp hours. If I would go just by the capacity, then this would last more than twice as long compared to the previous one. Now it doesn't. Now the reason for this is probably I think to a certain extent there might be an incentive. If I go on Amazon as potentially looking for a replacement battery from a third party, because the third party is usually cheaper compared to the original Canon batteries. So the original Canon batteries, for example for my 70D, usually sold for around 30, 40, 50 euros for only one battery, whereas the replacement batteries often would sell for 20, 30 euros for two batteries, giving me basically more for my money, but only of course if they actually would properly last and not always go out. For the 70D I actually had a couple of replacement batteries that were somewhat decent. I also had a couple of them that were not that decent. It's kind of always a game of luck, it seems, that you get one that is actually somewhat reasonable. Now, the third one I am taking a look at is the one that came with the mail today. So that's this one, and this cost for two batteries 16 or 17 euros on Amazon, which means that one battery cost around 8, 9, 10 euros or something like this, whereas the previous one came with the charger, so if I priced the charger at maybe 12 euros, then the batteries would have cost me 5 additional euros per battery. Now, the new batteries are the ones that are by Lotus Power, and this probably is also just a Chinese brand, I assume. You also can see the model number, which is identical because it's a replacement battery, and you can also see that these have 1250 milliamp hours. So by the previous ones I actually went by the amp hours, not by the amp hours, by the amp hours. Because, well, this is twice as much as, of course maybe I didn't believe them already, but this seems to be twice as much as the original capacity of the Canon LPE12, so it seemed at least, by going by the capacity, that this would last longer, but it lasts around half of the time. The new ones I haven't tested because they have been in the mail as of today. This is what the back of the package looks like, and so I will begin testing these as of today. What I also saw is batteries like these that are actually, additionally to having this normal connector, charging connector, that additionally would have a USB-C slot here, which I think would be quite useful, at least kind of in theory, because then you could potentially charge wherever you have USB-C. and you would not even need a charger like this. But then you again have this issue with having connected something to something else in your bag. With a cable is often kind of a problem, at least if it's not a cable that is properly attached and then going maybe via USB-A into your power bank. So I did not opt for these with the USB-C, also because I am thinking if there is basically the need for an additional USB-C in there, then probably around 2 to 3 millimeters have been going from somewhere of the volume, because the volume is kind of standardized to the LPE12 form factor. So I was thinking that they potentially then have actually less capacity, so I went for these, which I then only can charge in this here and not with USB-C, but I do have to have the charger with me anyway. And charging two batteries at the same time gives you always the option that if one charging fails, then you still have the other battery